Hi, I am Sanjay Patel, and today we are going to discuss the very important theorem uh, about sequences. It is called nested interval theorem. Nested interval theorem. Our main aim in the next lectures are to prove that every sequence of real numbers which is bounded has a convergence subsequence. So for that we are going to use this nested interval theorem. So let us understand the proof of and the statement of this theorem. So the theorem says let In be a sequence of closed and bounded intervals. So this closed is important. Closed and bounded intervals with the property that In contains In plus 1. So In is bigger than In plus 1 for every n. Okay. Let us put, or let me explain the meaning of In contains In plus 1 is this. You can say I1 is bigger than I2, I2 contains I3, I3 contains I4, and so on. Okay. And let us put In, since they are closed and bounded intervals, I am taking In is equal to An comma Bn. Okay. For every n is equal to 1, 2, 3 and so on. So if we have a nested, this is called nested interval because one is contained in another, so it is something like nest. So that is called nested interval theorem. So put In is equal to this, then prove that number one, there exist alpha and beta, two real numbers, such that the sequence of left-hand points converges to alpha and the sequence of right-hand points of the intervals In converges to beta as n tends to infinity. Secondly, the intersection of all these intervals for n equal to 1 to infinity is equal to the closed interval alpha comma beta. These alpha beta are the limits of this set of endpoints of the sequence, of the intervals. So the third thing is, if limit n tends to infinity, mod of Bn minus An equal to 0. What is mod of Bn minus An? Let me remove this. Bn minus An is the length of the In interval, the nth interval, Bn minus An. If the length of the interval is tending to 0 as n tends to infinity, then prove that the intersection of these intervals is nothing but a singleton set. So in this case alpha and beta are equal, so we'll get the singleton set alpha. Okay. So let us prove. Just go through all these conditions. In is a sequence of closed and bounded intervals where I1 is a superset of I2, superset of I3, and so on. And we want to prove this. Okay. So let us start. Here, if I consider, say, a real line, if I consider, what is this? Consider this number line, and let us consider the intervals I1, I2, I3, and I will be representing these intervals on this line. The first interval is A1, comma B1. Okay, this is our I1. This interval is I1. So let me write here. This is the interval I1, the first interval. Then the next interval is contained in the first one. So suppose it is like this, A2, comma B2. So second interval is I2. This is I2. Okay. Third interval, say it is something like this, A3, comma B3. So likewise, this is I3. So likewise, we have all the intervals, okay, are contained in one into another. This is our real line. Remember, so all A1, A2, A3 and B1, B2, B3, which are the endpoints of these intervals, are real numbers. Okay, so note that we have A1 less than A2 less than A3, or you can say less than or equal to, and so on. Okay, then I can say this way, this is less than B3 less than B2 less than B1. So note this, this way the endpoints are distributed over the real line, and just concentrate on the first number A1 and the last number B1. Now if I just remove all the B's except this last one, you can see all A1, A2, A3 are less than or equal to B1. So note that this all AN are less than or equal to B1 for every n, and all these B1, B2, B3, they are all greater than or equal to this A1. So I can say A1 is less than or equal to all Bn for every n is equal to 1, 2, 3 and so on. Okay. So what is the meaning of this? This means the sequence An is bounded above bounded above by b1, and the sequence bn is bounded below by a1. Okay, so this is our first result. Secondly, it is also clear from the numbers that which are written above that the sequence an is monotonically increasing sequence, and the sequence bn is monotonically decreasing sequence. Okay, this is my result number 2. an is bounded above and it is increasing, so therefore it is convergent by the theorem. Same way, bn is bounded below and it is decreasing, so it is also convergent. So therefore I can say from 1 and 2, the sequence an and the sequence bn are convergent sequence. Okay, that means limit of an and limit of bn exist. So I can say therefore limit n tends to infinity an is equal to say alpha, and limit n tends to infinity, both this limit exist, so that I am taking the limit of the first sequence as alpha and the limit of the second sequence as beta. So both exist. Okay, so where what is alpha and beta? Alpha and beta are some real numbers. So both the sequences an and bn are convergent, and an can reach to alpha and bn can reach to beta. What is next is note one thing. By a result we have proved in the earlier lectures, note that as an converges to alpha and an is increasing, we can write down, we have this thing, all terms are less than or equal to alpha for every n. Similarly, bn converges to beta and bn is decreasing sequence. So therefore in this case we have this bn are all greater than or equal to beta for every n. Okay, yes. Now what happens next is now let me write this way. an is less than or equal to alpha, and what is the relation between alpha and beta? How we can get the relation between alpha and beta? For the interval, we know for the ith interval we have an always less than or equal to bn for every n. Correct? This is obvious because these an and bn are the end points of the interval, closed interval a and bn. So an is always less than or equal to bn. So if I take limit as n tends to infinity an, then it is less than or equal to limit as n tends to infinity of Bn. So that is alpha is always less than or equal to beta. Okay, so this thing is proved, alpha is less than or equal to beta is proved. What I can say from this and these results, these two things. Okay, so I can say, therefore we have, if you combine alpha less than or equal to beta and this result, number 2, we can say an less than or equal to alpha less than or equal to beta and less than or equal to bn. Beta is less than or equal to bn. This is true for every n belongs to n. And what does this mean? This means that the closed interval alpha comma beta is subset of closed interval an comma bn, and this is true for every n belongs to n. So I can say that closed interval a alpha beta is contained in in for every n. So closed interval alpha beta is subset of I1, it is subset of I2, and so on. And as a result, closed interval alpha beta is subset of intersection of all these intervals. We know if A is a subset of X, B is a subset of capital X, C is a subset of capital X, then A intersection B is intersection C is subset of X. The other way, if X is subset of A, X is subset of B, X is subset of C, then X is also subset of A intersection B intersection C. So like this, we get this one thing. Let us call this as result A. What I want to prove is the reverse inclusion, that intersection in is subset of closed interval alpha beta, so that our second result, our second requirement will be proved. So for that, I am taking an arbitrary point x belongs to intersection of all these INs for n equal to 1 to infinity, and this implies x belongs to in for every n belongs to n. Okay, and that means x is in the closed interval a and bn, and therefore I can write an less than or equal to x less than or equal to x less than or equal to bn for every n, because in is equal to closed interval an comma bn. You understand? So now if I take the limit as n tends to infinity in this inequality, we get, as n tends to infinity, you know that n tends to alpha, so limit of this will be alpha. As n tends to infinity, limit of x is x, and as n tends to infinity, limit of bn is beta. So this gives me x belongs to closed interval alpha comma beta. Correct? See, I have started with x belongs to intersection of all in, and what I have proved is x belongs to closed interval alpha beta. Okay, so what is the conclusion? The conclusion is the intersection of all these in for n equal to 1 to infinity is subset of closed interval alpha comma beta. Okay, we have earlier proved in result A closed interval alpha beta is subset of intersection of in, and this is my result B. So from A and B we can conclude, from result A and B we have intersection of all these intervals is equal to closed interval alpha beta. So the first and the second part are proved. What is left is what happens if the length of the IN interval is tending to 0. Okay, so I am taking the last part. Suppose mod of Bn minus An tends to 0 as n tends to infinity. We can write like this also, that is limit as n tends to infinity of the sequence mod of Bn minus An equal to 0. And if you remember, if limit n tends to mod of xn is equal to 0, then this implies limits n tends to infinity xn is also 0. Means I can remove the modulus and still the limit is 0 by a result. We know what result we are talking about. If mod of xn tends to 0, then xn will also tends to 0. And it is true only when the limit is 0, remember, not always. And since the limit is 0, we can remove the modulus sign. So we get this thing. And this gives me limit n tends to infinity. Using the working rules, we can prove that this is equal to limit n tends to infinity, or let me write, this minus this is equal to 0, and that is, this limit is beta and this limit is alpha. Beta minus alpha equal to 0, and that gives us beta is equal to alpha. So when the length of the interval in, you know that length of the interval in is given by mod of Bn minus An, and this tends to 0 as n tends to infinity, then we get intersection n equal to 1 to infinity of this intervals as closed interval alpha beta is equal to alpha, because beta and alpha are same. Okay, in this case the closed interval alpha beta becomes a singleton set. Okay, so we have proved this nested interval theorem, and this theorem is very useful in showing that every bounded sequence of real numbers has at least one convergent subsequence, and this is very useful in proving the completeness of the field R. Okay, thank you. We'll now show that in the nested interval theorem, the condition that the intervals in we have taken are closed and bounded intervals cannot be dropped. So let me write down this remark. The condition in the above theorem that the intervals in are closed. Okay, let me use this, intervals in are closed, cannot be dropped. This condition cannot be removed, cannot be dropped. Okay, to understand this, I should take one particular example which explains that why we cannot take other intervals. So let me take one example. Say on this number line, I am taking intervals like this. Say open 0, my first interval I want to take as open 0, closed 1. So I am taking the first interval I1 as open 0, closed 1. The second interval I want to take here is like this. I take the midpoint and consider I2 is equal to open 0, close 1 by 2. The third interval, now you will understand what I am going to do. I will be taking the third interval as say somewhere 1 by 3 is here. So I will be taking I3 is equal to open 0, closed 1 by 3. Okay, and so on. So in general, we are taking In is equal to open 0, closed 1 upon n for n is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4 and so on. Okay, and this is clearly a nested interval sequence. Here I1 is it contains I2, I2 contains I3 and so on. That is, you can say In contains the next interval In plus 1 for every n. Note that these intervals are not closed. Note that the intervals In are not closed. They are actually closed open interval. So they are not closed intervals. Okay. In this case, we want to conclude that the theorem is not true. The reason is the condition closed interval is not satisfied. So the condition is must. We cannot drop the condition that In are closed. So I will be showing that intersection. We shall prove that intersection n equal to 1 to infinity In is equal to phi. It is empty set. Okay, so the condition is, the theorem does not hold in this case. Now how to prove this? Note that what are the intervals In? They are of the form close open 0, closed 1 upon n. Okay. Here In is equal to open 0, 1 upon n. Okay. Suppose if possible, intersection is non-empty. Suppose if possible, there exists some number x in the intersection of these intervals. What does this mean? This means this x lies in In for every n is equal to 1, 2, 3 and so on. And what is this In? In is open 0, closed 1 upon n. This is true for every n belongs to n. So this I can write as 0 less than x less than 1 upon n for every n. Suppose the possible intersection is non-empty, and it means there exists some element x in the intersection. Okay. So what I am getting here is some number x. Let us call this as star. Now x is greater than 0. Okay. So by Archimedean property, what is Archimedean property? You know, if x and y are two real numbers and x is positive, you can always find some natural number n such that n into x is greater than y. Here I am taking x greater than 0 and I will be taking y is equal to 1. So then by Archimedean property applying for this x and y equal to 1, there exists some natural number m such that m into x is greater than y, which is 1. Okay, and this gives me x is greater than 1 upon m. If x is greater than 1 upon m, it means x cannot be an element of 0 to 1 upon m, this interval. Because if x is in this, then we must have 0 less than x less than or equal to 1 upon m. But here x is greater than 1 upon m. So x does not belong to this interval. But what is the name of this interval? This interval is nothing but the interval Im. It is the interval Im. So what I have proved, that x does not belong to this particular interval, okay, where m is fixed, and thus the conclusion is x does not belong to the intersection. Okay, x does not belong to the intersection of all these n equal to 1 to infinity. We are saying here x belongs to the intersection. On the other side, we are proving x does not belong to intersection. We have suppose that a intersection is non-empty, and we have got this x belongs to the intersection of all i's. And here I am proving that this x does not belong to the intersection. So therefore, this is a contradiction. This is a contradiction. And this contradiction arises because of our wrong assumption that intersection is non-empty. So what is proved? Thus, intersection of In is equal to phi for n equal to 1 to infinity. So if intervals are not closed, then the theorem does not hold true. That we want to say in this example. Okay. So thank you. We'll be proving some more interesting results in the next lecture. Thank you.